Hey guys, this is Giles. So next week the new Dwarf Army book is coming out, so I decided to go ahead and say goodbye to the old one. It served me well. I've really enjoyed playing it, but I really am looking forward to this new one. So to kind of send this book off with a bang, I've gotten one of my buddies to go ahead and play a game with me. I'm going to be using my dwarves, and he'll actually be borrowing my high elves because he wanted to try something a little bit different. This is not going to be a competitive list. This is just going to be a game for fun. So we just kind of picked the models we felt like using. I'm going to go ahead and go over the high elves first. So we're going to be running 2,000 points aside. Going to be starting off with the Eldar. First for the Eldar is 2 blocks of 10 basic archers. No upgrades at all. These guys are just going to probably stand around the flanks and give a little fire support. He's going to be running a unit of 11 Shadow Warriors to kind of give him a little flexibility, running around, plunking some arrows, maybe infiltrating a bit. They do have a champion in with them. To work as a bodyguard for his general, he's going to be running a unit of 15 Great Swords with full command. To give him a little bit of speed, he's going to have a unit of 9 Silver Helms. Even though the models don't have them, they are equipped with shields and they have a full command. Army General is going to be a level 4 Archmage with the channeling staff, the talisman that gives him the 4+ ward save, and just to kind of help him out in close combat, he's got the Sword of Anti-Hero. 1 block of 20 Northern Sea Guard. Nice flexible unit. It's going to give him a little bit of shooting as well as close combat. Probably those are going to be a threat. I always have problems against those for some reason, especially with a lower life wizard bumping up their toughness and helping them come back from the grave. Got a unit of 20 spearmen with full command. 6 Illyrian Reavers, good for running around the flanks and threatening war machines. They're going to have full commands, bows, and spears. 2 of the bolt throwers to give some fire support. And a little extra speed and just irritation ability. 2 Great Eagles. Now for the dwarves. Now for my dwarves list. I'm going to be starting off on my HQ. You can tell I play 40k. I'm going to run a Dwarf Lord with Shield Bearers. He's really got a lot of runes on him. I got him up to a Toughness 6, a 1+ armor save, plus he gets to reroll all failed saves. I've equipped him with a great weapon. He also has the Master Ruinous Bite, giving him a 4+ invulnerable save. It's just really hard to take this guy down. There's no point worrying about speed. I just gave him a great weapon because there's no way you're going to hit an elf as a dwarf. My next Lord choice is a Demon Slayer. I gave him the Runic 2-handed axe, so it has all the bonuses of a 2-handed axe, plus he has 2 additional attacks. Once again, he's going to be going last, so I figure he'd be good for kind of stalling, fast cav, and maybe an eagle or something that's going after my artillery. He's just going to be kind of hanging back there to help defend. Next, I got a basic runesmith. I gave him the Master Rune of Balance and a Rune of Stone and a shield, even though it's not on the model. He's strictly there to get me 2 extra dispel dice every turn, and that +2 to dispel, hoping to keep that elf magic somewhat under control. Next, I'll be running a block of 20 warriors. These are upgraded with shields and as Longbeards. They'll have a full command. I don't actually have a musician for this squad yet, so the guy with the great big hammer up front, he takes the place as my musician. Next, I got a unit of 20 basic warriors. These guys also have shields. I'm still in the process of painting them, so they're not on the model yet. This is another block of 20 warriors, just full command and shields. I got a unit of 10 thunderers. Gonna just give me a little bit of fire support, also mainly to try to hurt their cavalry a little bit, or really, that's about all they're really there for. They're not that expensive. Armor piercing, they have great to hit with that +1 to hit for the long rifle. So for my artillery, I'm going to run a cannon. Now he's got the rune of forging and the rune of reloading. So I'll get to reroll misfire dice and get to shoot every single turn regardless for any other reason. So I'm hoping that'll keep him in the game and shooting every single turn. Next is my grudge thrower. He's got the rune of accuracy as well as the rune that allows him +2 penetration. So he's going to be a beast. He'll be hitting them with strength 5 blast template. So that should do some serious damage. For the accuracy, that should also help. These guys aren't painted yet. The unit of actually 19. Sorry. 19 hammers. Going to be the bodyguard for my lord and try to keep him alive. Now, these guys could take on just about everything I've ever thrown them up against, so I think they're going to be fine. I really am feeling good about where I am in this battle, but we'll see how it goes. Thank you. Okay, going to go over the table real quick. We've got a little tower trees there, a couple of houses there. We got 2 hills on each side. Little elven runic thing right there. It's kind of a swamp. We're counting it as kind of a little pond. A wizard's tower, although we're not using any of the terrain rules. It's just a tower there to block line of sight. And pretty open. That's generally how we play fantasy. We didn't get any forests. We didn't get any lakes. So we'll see what happens. Going to go over deployment a little bit. I think I'm in a bit of trouble. So I hid my Slayer over here behind the building, hoping to keep him out of sight of those bolt throwers. I got my Thunders on the hill, giving them a nice view of the battlefield. My cannon lined up beside them, so they can also kind of take some hits for the cannon. Blocking its side, I got my hammers here with the Lord, providing leadership that side and this side. Got my long beards here to provide support to the hammers. And a block of warrior, benefiting from both the leadership here and the anti-panic given by the Longbeards. I put my grudge thrower on the hill here, where it had the most open space around it, because I have my 2 war machines. I think he's probably my more important of the 2. Behind him, hidden as most out of sight as I possibly could, is my rune priest. I did these warriors too strong, trying to cover as much of this flank as possible because I knew he had some scouts and I didn't know where they were going to be coming in. So his deployment, seeing what I did there, he put the scouts over here 12 inches away from my Slayer, looking at them with their bows. I'm expecting him to have a very short career as a Slayer. He had his 2 unit of eagles here threatening this flank, the one with my cannon on it, which I think is probably my weakest flank. Bolt thrower with a unit of archers in front of it protecting it. Got the Northern Sea Guard over here. Let me see if I can zoom in a little bit. I've got the Swordmasters coming down my middle, probably facing off with my Thunderers to give me a little bit of trouble. Also got a unit of Spearmen there flanking them, giving his general some support. He's there with the great swords. Another bolt thrower on the hill with a unit of archers in front of it. And he's got the fast cav and heavy cav thundering down this flank where I got these 2 guys, these 2 ranks of guys ready to take it. Without their ranks, they're not going to be able to take a charge from heavy cav, so I'm going to have to reform them. Now, I was feeling good about this battle until deployment. Now I don't know what's going to happen, so we'll just have to wait and see. A bit of good news for the dwarves, though, is that I did roll to go first. So, wish me luck. Okay, so that was my movement phase. So my Slayer kind of ran up here, put a little hurt on them. He's not going to reach for the charge. I knew he couldn't. I'm hoping his toughness 5 will allow him to survive a round of shooting, but it kind of, they really have to bring him down. Otherwise, he's going to be threatening them. And in close combat, I think he might actually be able to take the unit. I mean, he's got a real bunch of attacks with a high strength. He's got a high toughness versus their strength 3. So, with any luck, maybe be able to hold out. These guys stayed still, not really able to do much. They marched forward, marched forward, marched forward, trying to get close to the enemy. I got to get to them. They stayed forward. He reformed to do his standard blocks, made his leadership so he's able to march on the move and went up 3 inches. My opponent had vanguarded up here. I was thinking he was hoping to get them out of the side of the cannon, but didn't. Now they're kind of ranked up perfectly, so I'm thinking that might be where I have to go. Hopefully with a little luck I might be able to take out most of the unit. Alright, I'll have to see after my shooting phase. Alright, so I put my target for the cannon 6 inches away from them. Let's see what my artillery die is. 4. So I'm going to move that sucker at 4. Oh, I'm going to need a good bounce to get more than just a couple of them. Let's see what I get. 6. So 6 inches is going to get me most of the unit, all but one of them. So let me roll some to wounds. So that's what I got. So I had a potential to take out most of the unit and ended up rolling 2 ones. So at least I took out half the unit. So I took a gamble and tried to place a grudge thrower right on this, figuring if I could take out half the unit that'd be great. But don't you know it, I rolled a 10 for my scatter. Now my first scatter put it someplace like this. Luckily that rune of accuracy changed the trajectory and just makes it where I miss everybody. But it's not good, but it's better than it could have been. And my thunderers were out of range, so we're going to have to see what my opponent can do to me. Wish me luck. So it looks my buddy's going to let me come to him. He flanked his eagles over here on my side, threatening my slayer and this entire flank. I really messed up with this flank. I should have had a unit of warriors over here. I'm really feeling exposed on that side. His rest of his forces just stayed put. They're just standing there waiting for me to come to them. Probably going to be plunking a bunch of arrows into my guys. Over here he did something interesting. He ran his 3 guys who did make their panic test last turn up where they could shoot my dwarves. He marched his cavalry up here. Now where his cavalry are, they have a good view of my guys. And my guys can't really charge him. Now if he did a hard angle and rolled well, he'd still be able to charge me, clipping me on the side. And these guys could countercharge to assist. If I try to charge him, these guys are kind of in the way. There's no way to get enough movement. If I do charge them, they're angled so that I'd have a choice of either reforming to take the charge, or I could overrun, which would run me right off the table, which means my next turn I'd have to march on with my flank exposed to him, and then he could just charge me then. So, that should be interesting. It looks like either way I'm going to get charged, so hopefully I'll be able to wipe them out, make my leadership, and be able to take it on the front instead of the side. We'll have to wait and see what happens. So that was a very interesting magic phase. So the wizard cast Throne of Vines on himself and miscast. But as I was reading it, the spell goes off first, then the miscast. So the Throne of Vines gives him that ignore the miscast on a 2+, so he went ahead and managed to roll a 6 and avoided it. Then he cast Flesh to Stone and did another miscast, which, you know, it's only able to block once per turn, so he took that one. With the Throne of Vines, it pushes these elves up to toughness 7. And the miscast did a strength 10 hit to everyone in base contact with the wizard, but not the wizard himself. So he lost 3 greatswords. So we'll have to see. I got all my dispel dice. I didn't even get a chance to use any because his last miscast also took away his remaining dice. So 2 miscasts in a row. I don't think that wizard's going to be around this whole game. So shooting phase. This bolt thrower fired at my hammers and rolled a 1 to hit. But that's okay. These just 10 archers measured out. They had range with their longbows and they killed 3 hammerers. This bolt thrower here fired in the hammerers and managed to kill another 3. So they've lost 6 hammerers, and this is just on the first elf turn. These archers fired into the hammerers and into any wounds. Those 3 light cav fired into the warriors and failed to get any wounds. So that's his turn, no close combat. Let's hope I have a little bit of luck here. Okay, we almost missed the Shadow Warriors firing at the Slayer. So 11 shots, 10 hits. I did an audible gulp that could be heard all the way across the room, and then they managed to do no wounds. Needing 6s to wound the Slayer, they managed to roll nothing over a 4. So if I can make it into close combat, he's got a chance. So the Slayer charged in, they did a stand and shoot reaction, managed to do 1 wound on the Slayer, but he managed to get into contact, so that should be interesting. My Thunderers were doing absolutely no good sitting back, so I went ahead and ran them forward, hoping next turn they might have something in range where they can shoot. The rest of my army here just kind of ran forward. They were full 6 inches, trying to get into combat as quickly as they can. Cannon staying still, ready to fire. Grudge Thrower standing still, getting ready to fire. They managed to run in. The Reavers got 1 hit on the Dwarves, but failed to wound. So we'll see if I can kill some elves this turn. And who says dwarves don't have a magic phase? So I managed to use my dice and dispel both of the spells, so they are back to normal. Let's hope a Grudge Thrower can make them hurt a little bit. So, I'm going to try to fire a cannonball through the archers and into the war machine. So, there's where I'm starting from. And I got a misfire. Now, the Rune of Forging allows me to re-roll that, so let's see if this one is any better. Misfire again! Okay, quick roll on the misfire chart. Got me a 2. Destroyed. Now luckily my engineer allows me to re-roll that. That time I got a 4. So let me see, malfunction, but due to my Rune of Reloading it just means I can't shoot this turn, but he will be able to shoot next turn. So, Grudge Thrower landed dead smack in the middle of the Great Swords, and there's only 2 of them left. Go figure that. A bit of luck on my side, considering I haven't had any so far. So off to the close combat and see if I can win a couple of those fights. So after close combat, they managed to do no wounds at all on the Slayer, and he managed to kill 4 of them. So yay him, he's doing pretty darn good there. The only other fight was over here. The Warriors were in base contact with the Reavers. They managed to kill 2 of them. The Reavers ran. I made my leadership to not follow them, and I reformed, getting ready to take on a charge from the Silver Helms. So, on to my opponent's turn. So he flew his eagles from over here, 1 here behind my cannon, and 1 there beside my cannon. I guess he's positioned so I can't get them both with a single cannonball. They are behind my Thunderers. I might be able to get 1 of them with Grape Shot, but that's a turn away from shooting at more important targets. I might be able to fight off 1 of these guys, but not both of them, so I'm probably going to go ahead and try to Grape Shot on my turn. A little surprised he didn't charge in here, but I figured he's probably just tying this guy up, figuring he probably won't be able to beat him with the eagle. Might as well take out my cannons, plus if they get moving over here, there's no way that Slayer's ever going to catch them. So overall, I guess he made the right call, even if I can manage to kill all these Shadow Warriors, that is. The rest of his army stayed still. They're all preparing to shoot. The wizard over there jumped out of that unit and into the spearman. I can't blame him. He went ahead and did his magic phase. He only got 5 dice to, I think I had 7 because of my Rune Priest. He threw all of his dice and managed to get Flesh to Stone off, so they're toughness 6. They're still standing still, getting ready to shoot the heck probably out of my hammers. He's been, I guess, scared of them, been hitting them pretty hard. And his cavalry over there managed to charge into my warriors, so because a lot really kind of, the entire flank depends on how well that battle goes. So I'm hoping my dwarves manage to hold, but you know, that's a lot of lance hits coming my way. but I'll probably be steadfast, so I think I'm going to be okay. If nothing else, with any luck, maybe they'll just tar pit each other for the entire game and just seal that flank up. I'd actually be okay with that. So, on to his shooting phase. We'll see what happens. So, bolt thrower, 10 archers, 20 Northern Sea Guard, another bolt thrower, 10 archers, all managed to fire at my poor hammerers and managed to kill 4. So that unit is still holding in there, but they're definitely feeling the hurt now. They're down to just 1 rank, and any unit they go up against is probably going to have steadfast, so we'll see. So, my favorite battle, the battle between the Slayers and the Shadow Warriors. So far, they managed to do another wound on my Slayer, so he's down to just his last wound. But I did manage to kill 3 more of the Shadow Warriors. They did make their leadership, but at least they're no longer steadfast, so I just probably have to hold on 1 more turn and I'll be able to kill them. I'm at least hoping, crossing my fingers. This fight went a heck of a lot better than I thought it would. So he hit my guys, but he managed to miss almost everything. He got 2 hits, only 1 wound, and it was from a horse that managed to kill 1 guy. So my dwarves hit back, got a reasonable number of wounds, but he made all of his armor saves. So with combat res, we tied combat. So I think I'm starting to feel a little bit more confident over there. So really not much to my movement phase this time. Slayer's still stuck over here. Cannon's going to try some grape shot, see if he has any luck. Thunderers are preparing for a shot. My hammers, longbeards, and warriors ran up. I'm starting to get kind of close to his line. It'd be a risky charge, so I'm probably going to have to move 1 more turn. I'll probably end up taking a charge, actually, but it's okay. My dwarves are okay at that. And over here, they're still stuck in combat. He is still shooting units. I think I'm going to see what some Northern Sea Guard tastes like this time with him. So let's move on to the magic phase. I'm going to attempt to dispel his throne, his flesh to stone. See if I can get that done. And then I'll move on to shooting phase. So I fired my grape shot. I got 10 shots, 8 hits, and what was that? 1, 2, 3, 4 wounds. So right now he is a big puddle of flying feathers. So yay there, and on to my grudge thrower. So I lined up a really nice shot here. Managed to roll that beauty, and then I noticed that. So I went ahead and rolled on the chart. I got a 6, so it just means I don't get to shoot this turn, but that means my hammers are going to be getting a lot more arrow shots into them, which does not put me in a happy place, and my opponent's giggling at me. So we'll just have to wait and see what happens. That's pretty much it for my shooting, so on to... No, wait a minute, my Thunderers. I'll be right back. Leave it for the Thunderers to do what the grudge thrower couldn't. He went ahead and blew up 5 of these guys, but of course they made their panic tests, but I'll take it, it's something. Now on to close combat. So this little guy, don't know why I did this earlier, he issued a challenge cutting down my opponent's attacks on him. He couldn't avoid it, he didn't have enough men left. So he failed a wound. I managed to kill him with a point of overkill. He failed his leadership, ran off the table, and I managed to restrain, and now he's positioned to get over here and start being useful to me again. If anyone who's got a real sharp eye might notice, he moved because I actually knocked the other one off the table and broke him. So there goes to the repair tray. So we did our best to put him back where he was. So if you guys notice he moved a little bit, that's why. Sorry about that. Over there in our lovely battle over here. Hope I'm not giving anyone vertigo. So they managed to kill 1 more dwarf. I managed to kill none in return. But I still won by combat res. But he made his leadership just barely exactly what he needed. So we continue to tar pit each other there. So that was, I believe, his turn. Now for my turn. No, that was my turn. Yeah, you're right. It's your turn. Alright, bye. So the extent of the elven movement phase, well, this eagle came over here and decided to eat a cannon for lunch. So my guys are lining up to do what they can to fight it off. The rest of his army is just staying still. No additional movement. I'm probably just going to shoot the heck out of my dwarves another turn, try to soften me up before we get into the fight. And let's see if his wizard can blow himself up. He's come close so many times. So his bolt thrower, his archers, his northern sea guard, and his other bolt thrower managed to knock out another 6 hammers. I'm down to only my front rank, so things aren't going so good. He couldn't quite see my hammers with these guys, so he fired into the Longbeards, but failed to do any wounds. So off we go into close combat. So Eagle came over here and managed to kill one of the gun crew, and the gun crew managed to do 1 wound in return. So the bird won by 1, but the cannon crew managed to make their leadership, and the fight continues. But that's still quiet. It's one of my big guns, and I don't like it. So in the ongoing battle over here, he actually issued a challenge, which I thought was smart. If he could kill my champion, it cut down the number of attacks I'm getting back, and you know, they're pretty close in stats, both needing 4s to hit. He needs 5s to wound. I need 4s to wound, but he's got that 2+ armor save I've not been able to get through yet. But neither one of us injured each other, so we continue with the challenge. His guys failed to do any wounds on my dwarf. Actually got 1 wound through on my dwarves, but my shield parry save managed to handle it. And I got no wounds back, so it's I actually win by combat res, but he made his leadership. So my Slayer decided to run over here. He's hoping the cannon crew will last long enough so that he can actually charge the Eagle and get in that fight. It's kind of iffy on whether or not it'll pull off, but we can try. My hammers attempted to charge to get out of the firing on his greatswords, and I failed to charge. What are you going to do? My Longbeards actually managed to charge the Spearman with the Archmage in it, so that should be fun. I thought about charging the archers, but I figured I'm just going to give them a free round of fire at me for a charge I probably won't make. So I just ran up there, was hoping to get within 3 inches so he wouldn't be able to shoot at me next charge, but wasn't able to get close enough. So I got at least 2 more volleys of fire coming from those archers. And the rest of my guys are either in close combat or shooting units, so on to shooting. So my turns are starting to go a lot faster. My grudge thrower fired over here at the Northern Sea Guard. It landed back here, but my thunderers, right there, actually managed to shoot at the Lorthard and kill 4 of them. So on to close combat. So combat so far, the Eagle managed to not do any wounds to my cannon crew, and my cannon crew returned in kind, failed to do anything on the Eagle. Good news is, over there, I managed to kill the champion in the duel. So that'll cut down his number of attacks. And he managed to kill one of my guys in return. But I'm still going to win by combat res of 2 flanks. So he'll have to take a leadership test. So over here, the Silverhelms actually failed their leadership, but they managed to run a whopping 12 inches. My dwarves did pretty good. They ran 8 inches, and that's good for dwarves, but still just wasn't enough to catch them, so they got away. Over here to the big fight. Neither one of us issued a challenge. I didn't see the point, because he just accepted with his champion and protected his wizard. I might do it next turn, but I didn't this turn. He killed 2. I killed 2. I won with combat res by 1, but he made his leadership test, so we're just going to stay put and see what happens. And that's all of our close combat. So the Silverhelms rallied, and they reformed, ready to take my dwarves' charge. See what happens there. Over here, unexpectedly, his archers went ahead and charged at my Longbeards, figuring they were going to try to take out my rank bonus, which could definitely hurt under the circumstances. And also the great swords charge into the Longbeard's flank. I mean, I'm set up for some nice charges next turn, but if he wipes this unit this turn, then he's going to get to reform all those guys, and well, I'm not looking so good for my Longbeards right now. Only other movement, he positioned him a little bit more. I was wondering why he moved, because it's going to be -1 to his shooting, but I guess he's figuring if he doesn't break me, he'll be able to charge my hammers, I guess. I don't know. Maybe get them out of the way of the other archers. That's the other thought. And that's all of his movement. So let's go on to his magic phase and shooting phase. So his mage went Hail Mary through all 5 of the dice he got to try to get Flesh to Stone again. Got it off with a miscast. So they're now toughness 6. To make things even more interesting, on the miscast, he got every model in base contact with the wizard, took a strength 10 hit. He lost 2 of his spearmen. The one archer in range and one of the spearmen in range rolled 1, so they weren't hurt. But then when he rolled to hurt my guys, he killed one of my normal guys, and it so happened my champion was corner to corner with him. And he killed my champion with that damn miscast. So things are just not looking good for my graybeards. So we'll just have to wait and see what happens. Never trust an elf. So, shooting phase. Managed to blow 2 of my dwarfs away with his bolt thrower. He managed to kill the last of my hammers, leaving my general exposed. But they ended up being in the way of this unit, so they went ahead and fired at my thunderers, killing 3 of them. Oh, and the bolt thrower helped to kill off the hammers. So no more hammers, just my lord. Although he's pretty tough on his own, he doesn't really need them, but it's really kind of sad when they die. One of my favorite units. Alright, well, on to close combat. I think this is going to be painful. So, this was painful. Between the archers, the spearmen, and the great swords, he managed to kill 8 Longbeards. In return, I killed 1 greatsword, 1 spearman, and 2 archers. Then for my leadership test, I managed to roll a 12. And for how far I run, I managed to roll a 3. So he decided to restrain on both of these units and succeeded his leadership. And he pursued and wiped out my Longbeards by himself. So we're going to take a second to put the table back together and move on to my turn. As far as I'm concerned, he was very well played. Oh, we still got the eagle. So we'll be back after the eagle. So, you see this guy giving you a thumbs up? He's doing that because he just killed a great eagle. The great eagle managed to kill 2 of his partners, but my engineer came through and managed to take its last wound off. So, excellent job there to my engineer, and due to my rune of reloading, my cannon is firing as good as ever. And just in time for my turn. So after he's repositioned, he kept arguing with himself where to put the archers. He finally put them there. Positioned his spearmen to be able to take the charge if I do manage to hit, kill, and overrun them, which opens his flank up to my lord. But as he was telling me, my lord's not going to take his rank bonuses away, so he'll probably be steadfast and be able to reposition if he does get the flank if he needs to. So we'll just wait and see what happens. Plus my lord's got those guys pointing at him, so if I charge his flank, he's going to get charged in the rear by them. Not that he cares, but still, that's a lot of combat res for me to try to take down. So I'm not sure yet what I'm going to do, and let's find out. Dwarf turn 4, so my Slayer moves up to try to get a little cover behind this building. Figure he's for the most part out of the game, but I might as well not let my opponent shoot him with the bolt throwers. They stay still to try to trade shots with those archers over there. They have about the same ballistic skill. They got more shots now, but my strength's higher, so maybe I might be able to pull it off. Cannon's getting ready to start gunning for some bolt throwers. I went ahead and took my lord into the Northern Sea Guard. Now, he hit me with his stand and shoot, failed to do any wounds. We'll see what the fight's like. I charged my warriors into his archers. I was too close for a stand and shoot, so hopefully I'll be able to break them, but that'll take me into the spearmen. And my warriors went ahead and charged their nemesis, the Silverhelms, so we'll see how that goes. Now I need to recharge my battery. It's about to die, so I'll be back in a while. The marvels of dwarf shooting. So my cannon managed to tear apart this bolt thrower, and my thunderers managed to do a whopping 1 wound on the archers. So they may have a tough time with the upcoming cross firefight if they keep rolling like that. My grudge thrower over there went a little dangerous and placed a shell right here, which immediately misfired. Luckily it didn't explode, it just won't be able to shoot this turn, but can still fire normally next turn. So on to the close also in the magic phase, I managed to dispel the Fustus Stone on this unit again. And on to close combat. So in the battle of the flank over here, the high elves managed to do 1 wound on the dwarves. The dwarves managed to do no wounds in return, but still wanted a combat res. And the elves immediately broke and managed to flee 12 inches again. The dwarves only managed a 4-inch chase this time. Let's see if they rally and we do this all over again. In the battle over here, the dwarves managed to kill off 2 of the high elves, while the elves did no wounds in return, but they still managed to hold. Believe it or not, Snake Eyes will do that, so they're still in there. Over here, the Lord issued a challenge on the Northern Sea Guard, which the captain accepted. I butchered him with 1 point of overkill, and due to the charge, managed to win combat by 1. The Northern Sea Guard made their leadership, and the fight continues. So on to Elf turn 4. So the Elf Cavalry managed to rally, and this time, surprisingly, they faced this way. He was telling me he figures the dwarves won't reach with the charge, and then they can come running over here and join in the main center of the battle in the fighting, and with their slow movement, they probably won't play any further part in this battle. So, you know, it's a bit of a gamble, but if it pays off for them, it'll probably be pretty good. No fighting over here, or movement over here. The spearmen backed up just a little bit. The fight continues over here. They stayed put for shooting. They stayed put for shooting. The last lone swordmaster is apparently running after my cannon. So I guess I'll end up grape shotting him, or he'll charge me. Either that, or Mr. Slayer will have a new playmate. So we'll see what happens. So in the magic phase, his mage ended up with 3 dice versus my 4 dispel. He tried to get off a spell, but I just dispelled it, no problem. Shooting phase, the bolt thrower and the archers both targeted the thunderers and managed to kill off only 2 of them. So they made their leadership, and on to close combat. So my lord managed to kill 2 of the elves with no wounds in return. He won combat by 1, but they're still steadfast for having a rank to his none, so they made their leadership easily. Over here, the dwarves managed to kill 1 elf, and the archers managed to kill 1 dwarf in return. Once again, they needed a 6 to make their leadership, and they rolled a 4, so they're still in there. The archers are holding up that entire unit of warriors. So on to dwarf turn 5. So it was a pretty quick movement phase altogether. My little slayer went and decided to hide behind a building. And my warriors over there attempted to charge the cavalry in the flank, and as he predicted, only managed to roll a 5, so I was short. All my other units are shooting in close combat, so off to magic phase and shooting phase. So with it being turn 5, I really need to get some victory points. So I plugged my grudge thrower right on top of these guys, managed to kill all but 2 with a single shot. Then I figured my thunderers would be able to finish them off. Not a single wound, nothing. So my cannon went to take off this guy, managed to hit him dead on, and rolled a 1 to wound. So my shooting phase was not as effective as I was hoping. Also, He made his leadership so they did not break. So on to close combat. So the combat here continues. I managed to kill off one spearman. Out of 4 attacks, I only managed to hit once with my lord. And this whole time I'm forgetting his shield bearers have not been attacking. So I'll be right back. I'm back. So shield bearers killed 2 more, so I killed a total of 3. But he's still steadfast, so he had made his leadership. I let him keep it. Over here, my warriors finally broke the archers. They fled through the spearmen. They made their leadership test, and I pursued right into the spearmen. I'm kind of now wishing I hadn't, because this is the last turn of the game, it turns out, and I just don't know. I'm not going to be able to break that unit, I don't think, and that's going to be a lot of attacks coming my way, so I don't know if I'm going to be able to hold out. And that's it for close combat. Now it's High Elf turn 5 and the last turn of the game. So in his movement phase, the cavalry ran clear away from him over here, but they just weren't close enough to actually get into the fight. And his one last swordmaster actually needed a 10 to make it and rolled it and got into the flank of my Thunderer. So that unit is probably going bye-bye now. Other than that, it's still the same combat, so see you after the shooting, and probably just go straight into the combat phase. Not much shooting left, so the bolt thrower fired at the cannon and missed. And these 2 guys were out of range to shoot at anything, so they just stood still. Now on to the close combat, and oh, his magic phase. We'll go back and do your magic. So in the magic phase, he attempted to cast Flesh to Stone again. I managed to dispel it, had to throw all my dice to do it, which left me open for him to get Shield of Thorns, which means I'm going to be getting 2d6 string 3 hits, I think, right now at the end of his magic phase. So let's see what happens. That's some good luck on my side. Only lost 1 dwarf to the Shield of Vines, or Shield of Thorns. So now on to close combat. So close combat here, he managed to kill 4 of my guys as I was coming in. I put every guy I could on the Archmage and managed to do 2 wounds to him, but wasn't enough to kill him, unfortunately. And I managed to kill 2 of the Spearmen. So I managed to actually win combat by 1 point of combat res, and he managed to make his leadership. Over here, nothing happened. He didn't wound me, I didn't wound him. He won from having a banner, and I made my leadership test, so nothing happened there. So, oh, the Swordmaster versus the Thunderers, last fight of the game. Swordmaster managed to kill 1 of the Thunderers. The Thunderers did no wounds in return. They managed to make their leadership. So that is turn 5. My opponent informed me that he needs to go, so we're not going to do any more turns. It's the end of the game. So let's take a look and see who won. So in the final points totaling, the High Elves had 1422 points left, and the Dwarves had 1473 left. So we are just going to call this a draw. I mean, the Dwarves had a couple more points, but not enough to even make it worthwhile. So it was a great game. I hope you guys enjoyed it. And if you caught any rules, now I don't play fantasy too much, so I'm sure I made a few rule errors. I'd appreciate you throw them down in the comments for me. Or if you guys have any comments, if you like my stuff, please subscribe. Otherwise, thank you very much for watching. You have a great day. And I'll probably do another battle report here pretty quick when the new book comes out. Alright, bye.